So an 8-6 lead at half-time for Penrith. Brisbane scoring a try right on half-time. That kind of kept them in it. And then they ran away in that second half and looked as though it was theirs. And then with 18 minutes to go, along comes Nathan Cleary. Luke Priddis, 2 grand final wins, as I said, 315 games for Penrith. And a third grand final, but he didn't participate in that one. 116, he joins us. That game last night, mate, how was that? What a cracking finish.
Yeah, it certainly was. I think the first half was nice and tight like we all thought it would be, and then there's probably a great percentage of the viewers and the fans probably thought that Brisbane had done enough and were going to run away with it, but no, you don't get to be in 4 grand finals in a row if you don't have some sort of stiffness in your backbone, and that will go down probably as Nathan Cleary's finest 15 or 16 minutes, those last ones before the final bell.
Look, he just took charge, as all brilliant players, as all leaders do, and to have accomplished what he has at the age that he is, it's just extraordinary, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, I sent a few text messages off last night to various people, and look, I don't think it's too early to say with what he has done and what he's accomplished that he'll be on that immortal list. Whether it's 15, 20 years time down the track, I think that's sort of a given. It's just what sort of dizzy heights you'll actually reach between now and then.
Let's break it down half by half to start with. This is my assessment, and you correct me if I'm wrong, of the first half. I thought that the Panthers probably left a couple of tries out there in the first half, and I just didn't. I couldn't figure out what Brisbane were trying to do. There was just so much unnecessary risk-taking from them.
Yeah, you're certainly right. I thought that young Tago should have passed the ball to Toe a couple of times there just to give him a chance to get into the corner. No, that's what they've been doing all year, but he held on to that. But I think, look, realistically, I think Billy Slater said it pretty early on in the commentary that Reece Walsh needed to get his hands on the ball and actually get dirty at number 1 before the magic started to come from him. And I think he sort of left himself a bit out of the game in that first half. But due credit to Brisbane, they defended really well, and Penrith had all the ball, and as you said, probably should have been a few more points up, and that try just before half-time under the post was pretty critical, and obviously that changed the momentum, and they came out in that second half, the Broncos, and sort of decimated Penrith, and it was probably just a different game to what Penrith thought it was going to go. Usually they come out after half-time and start to kick away, but due credit, probably that inexperience of Brisbane probably thought they could put the cue in the rack, and the one thing about this Penrith side is that they don't give up. They played a full 80 minutes. It's not a 70-minute game. It's not a 75-minute game. No, it's an 80-minute game, and that's where they got away with it.
Luke Priddis, 315 first-grade games, won a grand final with the Broncos, won a grand final with the Panthers, and was part of that 2010 St George squad too, which won a grand final. Look, putting your, I suppose, Brisbane hat on for that first half, I'm not so sure that was a try. There was an angle there where you thought, oh, hang on a second, is he actually short? But hey, they awarded it. It just gave, Brisbane so much momentum and obviously self-belief going into that second half. And then, Luke, you've played in matches like this. When you get a lead like that, what are you saying to each other? I mean, none of us know what they were saying to each other out there last night, but surely at that stage, it's just error-free, isn't it? You just got to shut this thing down.
Yeah, but it's probably it was too far out. With 20 minutes to go, that realistically sides can put back-to-back tries on you. And, the Warriors are a great example. When we used to play, mate, once they got on the roll, the Warriors, they were really hard to stop. And I think Brisbane played well enough to win. It was just a couple of errors and penalties that sort of they got Panthers back into the side. And again, that 40-20 from Nathan, that's a turning point, and it's hard to stop those turning points as it was sort of when the Broncos got away and scored those sort of number of tries. It's hard to turn the game, but when it does turn, it's hard to get it back as well. So I really just sort of think that they were probably in celebration mode and maybe tried to shut the game down a little bit too early. But, most NRL sides can score sort of 12 to 18 points in a short time frame. So, they'll learn from that. either way, they'll either come back next year with the desire, or that potentially can be something that can crush a couple of young blokes and their enthusiasm. But I think that Broncos side's got a lot of young blokes coming through, and Kevy will certainly sort of work with that on the off season. But no, I can't attest to how it feels to lose a grand final because I haven't. But no, those blokes that have say that it's one of the hardest things to overcome from. Whether they can use that as motivation or whether it actually becomes a scar that they can't overcome.
Just listening to Kevin Walters at the press conference afterwards, and also the post-match comments from Adam Reynolds. Look, I mean, I feel also for the broadcasters in these situations, because you've got to ask some questions. I don't even know what you meant to ask, though, because whatever you ask, if you ask about the game, I mean, the guy's got such a glum face, he doesn't really want to talk. It's an awful moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, I didn't sort of get to see the press conference, but as I said, no, it's all left out there on the field, so it's pretty hard to come there and sit in front of a pack of journalists that are trying to angle for a story or something and say really what you want to say. No, he's no doubt had a great conversation with his guys back in the sheds and said what needed to be said after that game, and that's the most important thing. But it's pretty hard. As a player, Kevy's been there as a player, as a coach as well. This is obviously his first opportunity as a coach, so it's got to be devastating. Realistically, I think as a professional, all you've got to do is really just try and say, well, no, it's a better side one on the game, on the day, and we'll be back bigger and better next year and work harder to go one more. That's pretty much all you can say as a coach and a captain of a losing side.
Luke Priddis with us on the platform. 3 in a row. Hasn't been done since the Eels did it in 81, 82, 83. Talk about the significance of that, Luke, when you haven't done something for 40 years in this game. And also, you're talking about playing playoff games at the end of a season, and when you add in the Rugby League World Cup games last year, some of these guys, it feels like the Penrith guys in the space of 3 or 4 years have probably packed in almost another season's worth of intense games during that time. So that elevates it in my mind to something that is just, it's superhuman almost.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I suppose when you consider that side of Parramatta, I'm sure there was probably a kangaroo tour in there somewhere. So,
yeah, right.
But, oh, shit. There's a massive dog coming after me.
Oh.
Just broken through a fence.
Oh, my God. How big is it?
It's a big Rottweiler.
Right. Okay.
Stop it there, I'm sorry.
That's all right, mate. Stop and look at it. Stop and stare at it. If you run away, apparently it means they want to eat you.
I'm walking backwards at the moment.
Okay.
I don't think it's on the nose, it's just busting through the fence. There you go, that's live radio.
Well, that's live radio. Sure, okay, yeah, I'm glad. I mean, I tell you what, you'd probably rather face that Penrith Ford pack.
Oh, yeah. Still coming.
Okay.
All right, yeah.
That's okay. This is what happens, ladies and gentlemen. Dog broken through fence. Is it still walking towards you?
Let's watch out. There's a dog that's just come through a fence up there. And it's walking on the road at the moment. It doesn't want to come across the road. That's my good deed for the day, warning that lady.
Yeah, man.
I think he's walking back now. Righto.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Let's go back to that. To win it 3 times in a row, just an amazing feat of endurance as much as anything else.
Yeah, certainly. And it's probably more special these days too. Like, salary cap wasn't probably around there when Parramatta were playing. But the salary cap's obviously been brought in to even out the sides, and no doubt, Penrith have lost a couple of great players over the last couple of years. Probably, salary cap probably hasn't hit as hard as what it is last year and this year. That makes it a great feat. And as you mentioned, rep football and all that. The amount of games that these blokes play these days is quite intense. But on the flip side, the RLPA has also done a good job in that extent that these blokes probably didn't come back till mid-January, and that's probably why Penrith had that sort of slow start. Most of the players clearing that didn't have trials, etc. And that's only good for the game to make sure that we've got our superstars at the end of the year for these great games.
A hell of a way to end just a brilliant season as well, isn't it? And, most of us, I think, agreed during the playoffs that these two teams were the two best teams, and then they play a final like that. Yeah,
100%. I mean, they finished equal on 40 points. You look across the across the page, and their stats were pretty much equal on every front except points conceded, where that was the Penrith game. They conceded probably 100 plus less than what Brisbane did throughout the year, and I suppose that's why most people probably picked it to be a low-scoring grand final. But certainly the averages were blown away. But that's what these great games are all about. Someone stands up and makes magic moments.
Luke, what do you remember most about the grand finals that you won? If you go back there and the final whistle blows, what goes through you at that time?
Oh, look, Brisbane in 2000, to me it was elation because I was only a young bloke there. That was my first grand final, but being with the Broncos at that stage, grand finals were sort of something that happened all the time, and you were expected to win. So a lot of the more senior players, probably that sense of relief that they'd won and they weren't going to get bombarded by all the questions from a loss. 2003 with Penrith, look, obviously we won the minor premiership and we're a pretty exciting side, but again, the Roosters were going through what was supposed to be a dynasty era for them, and that they were obviously expected to wipe the board with regard to the winning that grand final. But I suppose there's myself and Marty Lang were only blanks that had sort of played in the grand final at that stage. So again, it was probably for me that bit of expectation to have to take a bit more of a leadership role, especially that week. But again, probably more relief from my point of view that we won it, because I know how hard it is to get there. And again, our Penrith side was a very, very young side, and I think a lot of young sides, when they get there, they think like Penrith, they think that they're going to run into grand final after grand final, but most of the time that doesn't happen. So that's what makes this Penrith side a very, very special side, and no doubt should claim their place in history as being the best side of their NRL era so far.